Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA 0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Digibank. Let's go. Telesol 4G, proudly Ghanaian. Telesol, just a touch. And Mark Auto Parts Ghana, distributors of Isuzu and Chevy cars. Mark Auto Parts Ghana with you for the long run. Coming up in this edition, lawyers for investigative journalist Anas Aremiyawa Anas insist they have handed enough evidence to state agencies for prosecution of former GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi.
There's bribery, there's corruption. But mind you, a company was set up in Ghana in pursuance of the meeting in Dubai. What do you need more than a person who is seen on tape doing this or that? He wants God himself to come down to tell you that this is what he did.
We have details plus reactions from Upper West town of Wa, where the banned football administrator owns the club.
But I think the punishment is quite harsh. For life, I think FIFA should have given 10 years or 5 years.
Anas Samuel stepped in and provided the evidence. So he has no business leading our football again.
Supreme Court orders reinstatement of dismissed Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Mauto Avoke, as it quashes High Court ruling. We'll bring you details and also get the latest as the Asantehene Otumfo Seitu visits KNUST over last week's pass. Municipal Directorate of Education in Nkwanta holds emergency meeting with parents and teachers to find ways of the way forward after Nkwanta SHS was shut down indefinitely.
There's currently a PTA meeting going on with teachers and staff of the school to find the appropriate measures as to when schools will resume.
And in sports,
now that FIFA has decided to delete Kwesi Nyantakyi's name from football's directory, what happens to his club, Wow Stars?
He's taking the affairs of the club, but he's not the only director in the club as registered with the Register General Department. So the other director will surely step in.
The general manager of the club has been speaking. Details coming up in 20.
And later in the bulletin, footballers and adultery. We ask, what do the two have in common as Black Stars captain Asamoah Gyan files for divorce and demands paternity test?
I spoke to my lawyer and then he showed me where they do the DNA. I went there. I paid 2,000 for the four of us. He went straight. He said, the kids are not yours. I was shaking.
You didn't want to stay for details here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. And lawyers for investigative journalist Anas Aremiyawa Anas says they have handed enough evidence to enable state agencies to prosecute former GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi if he are minded to do so. There have been some concerns from various quarters, including the opposition NDC, over the failure of the Attorney General to drag the football administrator to court months after the documentary detailing corruption in football was televised. It comes after football governing body FIFA banned Mr. Nyantakyi for life and ordered him to pay a fine of 500,000 Swiss francs. Private legal practitioner Samson Ladi Ayenene believes the act captured on tape may not necessarily spoke on the Super Morning Show.
You must prove his guilt beyond reasonable doubt. If you don't discharge that burden, the person cannot be, as it were, found guilty. So I guess we should be asking now what Anas may have supplied. Those who may have received it, we understand Iyoko received some. The special prosecutor may have also received some of that. What further investigations may have revealed? We should be asking them the questions. They should show us whether or not their investigations, there was need for further investigations, and what the further investigations have concluded on. Otherwise, what you just saw on that footage and the pronouncements of the man on that footage, I can say that 1,000 times, are not matters that will constitute a criminal prosecution.
Not even defrauding by false pretenses, which is what the president...
Who? And doing so in which territory? And by the territorial application of the law, is he liable?
All right.
I mean, we should look at all of these things.
Lawyer for Anas, Kisia Jabing, however, disagrees. He argues enough evidence of crime has been captured on tape and presented to the investigative bodies to begin prosecution if they so desire.
With all the facets that are available to the various state institutions, they should come out with a determination whether indeed the evidence is solid enough for them to go on or otherwise.
So, lawyer, what did you think was the way to go? You mentioned that in your determination and in the determination of your client, you thought this has been committed, this has. What has been committed?
Several things. There's bribery, there's corruption. I'll give you two. The others I'll hold for my purposes.
In our laws, isn't bribery and corruption limited to public officials by our laws?
Depends on how you are looking at it. It depends on how you are looking at it.
How should we look at it?
The one who is engineering it and the one on whose behalf it is being engineered. Depends on how you look at it. And the aim and final object of the person who was engineering it. If you look at it critically, everything will fall into its right chips.
What's of the question of jurisdiction, lawyer? The fact that this was committed in another country. What was recorded anyway? It is.
You have concluded that it was committed in another country because the video was recorded in Dubai. But mind you, the company was set up in Ghana in pursuance of the meeting in Dubai. 7 days after, or 10 days after the meeting, the company was set up here. And then accounts were set up here in anticipation of receiving monies here in Ghana, all in pursuance of this enterprise. It is for the state institutions to go through what was given to them and come to a conclusion or otherwise. As for beyond reasonable doubt, say, what do you need more than a person who is seen on tape doing this or that? You want God himself to come down to tell you that this is what he did. Unless you're saying that the video evidence was dreamed of, it wasn't there, it was contrived, it was manufactured. Otherwise, you'll be calling on God himself to come and testify.
Kisia Jabing is lawyer for investigative journalist Anas Arimiyawa Anas. Now, although many have welcomed the FIFA ban and fine imposed on Mr. Nyantichi, former Black Star striker Gesting Ahimfo describes the lifetime ban as harsh.
It is very sad, but that is a decision for FIFA, so we just have to move on.
Did you think it was going to come to this?
Obviously, yes, because of the measures that FIFA has put in place since what happened under Sepp Blatter. And so I knew that there was going to be some sanctions, but as to the live ban, I wasn't expecting that.
So are you suggesting that probably the live ban is too severe a sanction?
I believe so, because when you say life, what is life? And I think I heard you ask a question that he could not even stop to watch a game. I don't think it's part of it.
Okay, that's actually a joke.
Yes, but I think if we had gotten, some years attached to the suspension, then obviously we could know that this was where we are heading towards. But for life and also the financial penalty that has been given to him, I think it's a bit severe.
Meanwhile, coach and football administrator Joseph de Graaf Johnson has been explaining to Joy News the implications of the lifetime ban imposed on him.
There is a non-FIFA group, but they're not big at all. So basically, he can start his own thing as well, as far as I know. But this is a FIFA ban.
But he also owns a football club, WA All Stars.
Yes, anything to do with WA All Stars is also out of the question.
As in, he has to give it out?
He has to give it up.
So what do football fans in the Upper West regional town of WA think about this issue? They've been speaking to us.
My first impression is that how is FIFA going to enforce it against him with respect to the $500,000 that he's been asked to pay? Or he's entitled to certain payments from FIFA and FIFA would withhold same. Otherwise, how is people going to enforce it? So, but I think the punishment is quite harsh. For life, I think FIFA should have given 10 years or 5 years. When you ban him for life, somebody who's devoted the best part of his life in football, for almost 20 or 25 years, Nyantichi is in football. If you ban him for life, it will be too harsh a punishment. That's my personal view.
That's the best thing that can happen to Ghana football. I think that right from the outset, the man has been very corrupt. And when these allegations of corruption came up, he dared anyone to produce evidence. And even said there was a 200,000 Ghana cedi award for anybody who could produce evidence of corruption at the GFA. And now Samuel stepped in and provided the evidence.
Some residents of where Kwesi Nyantakyi's club is based. Let's stay a while longer on this issue because Anas Aremi Anas has been speaking about his expose that led to the eventual ban of Kwesi Nyantakyi. Anas has been speaking at the ongoing African Investigative Journalism Conference in Johannesburg, where my colleague Ohemin Teria joins us from. Ohemin, so what has Anas been saying? Hello, Ohemin.
Yes.
Ohemin, if you can hear me, what has Anas been saying at that forum?
Thank you, MFR. Anas says he really wants to comment on the ban handed by FIFA to former president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantakyi, and when asked by an Armenian journalist who wanted Anas's investigation to lead to this. But he says he doesn't want to comment because of hearing it for the very first time, and also says he believes that he fought systems, but not personally.
I haven't seen the story yet, and so at this stage, I would just say no comment. A lot of these issues are in court, and strategically so. I am not one person who loves to rejoice about somebody's misfortune. I think that I fought a system and not a personality. And I'm happy that the system is down, and I'm happy that changes are being brought. For me, those are very, very important issues. Thank you.
Let's turn our attention now to issues about education because the Supreme Court has ordered the reinstatement of dismissed Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Mauto Avoke. The court, in a unanimous decision, quashed a High Court judgment that had endorsed the decision of the school's governing council to remove Professor Avoke. President Akufo-Addo, in September this year, graced the induction ceremony of Professor Anthony Aful-Bruni as the new Vice-Chancellor of UEW, following the vacancy created by the removal. Lawyers for the dismissed Vice-Chancellor had argued this amounted to an illegality since there was a pending case at the highest court. They insisted Professor Avoke's removal was unlawful. Well, the Supreme Court justices today agreed, saying the High Court judge erred in failing to take evidence from the parties in the case before granting judgment. So what happens to Mr. Aful-Bruni or Professor Aful-Bruni? We'll get more of that in our subsequent bulletins. But let's turn our attention to the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology because we're told that authorities have put the cost of damage to property on the campus following a demonstration by students last week at 1.6 million Ghana cedis. The students vandalized school property and destroyed more than 30 vehicles, leading to a shutdown of the school. The Asantehene Otumfuo II is today expected to visit the university in an attempt to resolve the impasse that led to the shutdown. It comes after government mandated him to reconstitute the governing council of the university after lecturers rejected a rushed one put together by the government after a violent student protest. Ahead of his visit, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has been speaking to the university's relations officer, Kwame Yeboah Jr.
The university put up a team to do the assessments. And at the end of it, a figure of about between 1.6 to 1.7 million cedis was put forward.
And who is going to bear the cost?
Who is to bear would have to wait. As I speak to you now, the university has even started putting certain things in place. For instance, the vehicles that had their windows smashed or were destroyed, some of them are being repaired, even though it's not been decided who is to pay. So we believe strongly if the body is put together to investigate, definitely they would come out with who did what, who is to pay what, and all that. So we'll have to leave that to that body.
Okay, let's talk about the composition of the cost. How is it like? Can you break it down, the cost?
I would say two. The items, facilities that were destroyed, including access control facilities in all the halls and into some of our buildings.
You had the KNUSC Public Relations Officer, Kwame Yeboah Jr. So the school is expected to reopen on the 8th of November. Let's get on the line and speak to Kwesi Deborah. Kwesi Deborah, you're on campus as we speak. We're expecting the arrival of the Asantehene Otumfuo II. Has he arrived yet?
No, MFI, Otumfuo II was expected to arrive on
the campus of Kenya University by 11. But we heard that he was having a meeting. He was in a meeting with some officials. So the advanced team, I can say, is already here. I can see the military and police. So we expect him to be here in the next 5 minutes or less.
I'm sure you've been speaking to members of his advanced team. What exactly is he expected to do when he arrives on campus?
Yes, he's coming to assess the extent of damage. Already we know the cost of damage. So now he's coming to assess the extent of damage. And as you already heard, they are going to establish a team which is going to look at, first of all, who is going to bear the cost. And let me push this through. UTAC has just finished their meeting today at Kenya University campus, and they have released a communique saying that they are going to suspend the withdrawal of services by Friday when Otumfuo-Osei, the second, will constitute the council.
Live FM's Kwesi Deborah, following that issue there, will definitely bring you more in our subsequent bulletins. But let's turn our attention to the Volta region now, still on the education front, because officials of the Municipal Directorate of Education in Nkwanta are holding an emergency meeting with parents and teachers after the Nkwanta SHS was shut down indefinitely. The students went on rampage to protest against the school authorities over the seizure and destruction of mobile phones, among others. We'll get details shortly on the meeting, which is underway. But first, here are some students already calling on government to intervene.
The masters coming to our dormitory yesterday to pick our phones. So like when it came, our seniors were opposing it. So they were chasing the master.
I was feeling scared when the school has now closed down. And I'm worried too. I've called my parents and they are here to help me go. I'm from Accra.
Minya baby so enna.
It's really troubling. I'm unable to go home because I don't have money for my transportation. Besides, the shutdown of the school will greatly have impact on our academic work. We'll be writing WASI with other students across the country, and we may be found wanting when the time is due.
Because Ghana WASI the same at the corona. Yes, Anna, addition yes, teachers for no so they see Omaha.
Some students there of the Nkwanta Senior High School. Now, Adom FM reporter Benjamin Obrimpong has been following that meeting keenly and came through with his report.
You know, the school was shut down yesterday, asking students to leave their campus for proper structures. Yesterday, around 6:30 when we got here, the school was totally in darkness. There was nothing going on. And today, as I speak, there's currently a PTA meeting going on with teachers and staff of the school to find the appropriate measures as to when schools will resume, because classes have been shut down. You cannot even find anybody on the campus now. What I was told that about only 8 students that were left behind.
Let's go live now and speak to the Municipal Director of Education, Mr. Stephen Chuatope, joining us on the line. Thank you very much for your time, sir. So what was the outcome of this meeting?
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Stephen Chuatope. So I was asking about this meeting that was, has it ended, I must ask?
No, we are still holding it.
So what are the issues that have come up in this meeting regarding the Nkwanta SHS? Because we know it's been shut down indefinitely. What's the way forward?
Well, this time we actually decided on how to get the main pipeline destroyed by the students repaired, restore electricity to the school, and also the marker boards that they use in teaching them replaced, after which we asked them to come back to school.
When did you say you asked them to come back to school?
No, we have to get these things in place before we are able to tell them the day. But hopefully, we hope by Saturday, Sunday, yes, we should let them know when to come to school.
But we've talked about, pipelines and some electricity issues. But what really is the extent of damage?
Really, they've destroyed the main pipeline to the school. So water cannot run through to the school. Then there's no electricity. They disconnected electricity and damaged all the security bulbs on the compound.
We know that 30 students...
The teachers attacked the school. They destroyed some of them.
Very well, but we're told that 30 students were arrested in the process. Are they still in police custody? Have they been released? What's happening to them?
Those arrested, actually, their relatives and parents came, bailed some of them. Some who even, most of them, very few of them, we are waiting for the parents to do so. And there are parents around just to go through the process and take their children away.
That's a Municipal Director of Education, Mr. Stephen Chwatopod, giving us details from that Nkwanta SHS issue. You're still listening to the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, footballers and adultery. We ask, what do the two have in common as Black Stars captain Asamoah Gyan files for divorce and demands paternity test?
I spoke to my lawyer and then he showed me where they do the DNA. I paid 2,000 for the 4 of us. He went straight, he said, the kids are not yours. I was shaking.
We'll be right back after the break.
This very moment, it's the pulse of possibility, potential, power. It's time
to make your move.
To take that step.
The time
is now.
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 The great things you do tomorrow start with the small steps you take right now. So take that step with Old Mutual. Call us on 0302-230-638 and make now count. Old Mutual. Do great things every day.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. It's time now for the latest from the world of sports. Read one.
Yes, Kwesi Nyantakyi is trending, and nowadays, do we have options? We don't have options at all. Social media will tell you which story to do, and with Kwesi Nyantakyi trending, we just can't overlook that one. Now, the former FIFA Council member will cease to have anything to do with the club he owns, that's WOW Stars, after the World Football Governing Body confirmed his lifetime ban from all football activities with immediate effect starting yesterday. Now, Nyantakyi took over the club in the lower division and led them to qualify to the Ghana Premier League before winning a historic league title after 6 years in the top flight. General Manager of WOW Stars, Seth Panum, says the club will survive without Nyantakyi.
We received it with a lot of shock and mixed feelings because we at least anticipated that the sanction will be primitive, will be very harsh to this extent, and we at WOW Stars are not very happy. He's taking the affairs of the club, but he's not the only director as the club as registered with the Register General Department. So the other director will surely step into issues and will see to the running of the club. So management will also play its part to ensure that things are stable for the team to operate. Regarding the club, if there might be any challenges, but if there are not much that cannot be surpassed. So the club will run as it is.
You hear Seth Paum there, General Manager of WOW Stars.
Thank you very much, Redwan. It's time now for fact-checking. And today we're focusing on some claims made by Information Minister Designate Kojo Nkrumah on the unemployment situation in the country. Raymond Akwa joins me in studio with more on these claims and the verdicts. Raymond, let's start with the Minister Designate Kojo Nkrumah's claim that the 2017 Labour Force Survey states that unemployment rate for 2015 is to be 11.9%.
If you take, for example, the Ghana Labour Force Survey of March 2017, it pegged unemployment at 11.9% in 2015.
What's the verdict?
This is true. Indeed, the Labour Force Survey for 2015 stipulates that particular unemployment ratio, that of the youth population, is actually different from that. It also states that for those who are within the grouping of females, there are more unemployed females than males in the Republic of Ghana. Indeed, the situation is also worse when it comes to comparing as you go older, then we reduce in unemployment ratio. So the younger ones have a higher one compared to those who are older than that.
He also claimed that only 10% of graduates get jobs within the first year, referencing data from ISE.
ISE did a survey in March 2017 that says only about 10% of graduates get jobs within the first year. And for the majority, sometimes it takes up to about a decade.
A verdict?
Yeah, this is also true. I mean, the data from the ISE, in this case, both in the post-budget review and also State of the Ghana Economy Report stipulates that indeed the unemployment situation, especially for graduates of tertiary institutions, they struggle very much to get the jobs within the first year. And those who are unable to move beyond that also struggle within the periods to get that particular job that they want.
Now, finally, he also stated that in 2016, 48% of the youth in this country were available for work, yet there were no jobs.
But as of 2016, when they were looking at people who were available for the world of work, those were the statistics they put out, that about 48% of them were interested in working but did not have a job.
The verdict?
This is false. There's no World Bank report that states that 48% of the population between 15 and 24 were available for work and interested in working but did not have a job. The Bretton Woods Institution in 2016 released a report that titled Expanded Job Opportunities in Ghana, which states in page 37 and 49 that 55% of the youth are working, with 4% of this population being unemployed. Now, the minister might have erroneously considered those who are inactive on the labor force, which is 47% of that particular population, as being those, and of course, after that 47%, 30% are actually in school, so could not have been part of the employment and those active on the employment market.
Raymond Akwa with fact-checking. Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Communications, Ken Ashigbe, is calling on media houses to boycott functions of the National Democratic Congress until justice is served for assaulted Joy News reporter Kwesi Parker-Wilson. He spoke on the PM Express last night with Evans Mensah.
We've not learned from the police anywhere else in the world. Touch any policeman, the whole force of the police would come on you. We've not learned from the fact that even in Ghana here, the police people who were assaulted, buried under concrete, within a few hours they found them out. But when it comes to us, we treat it like, look at today, how many media houses reported this? I have on my screen from 2017, February, plus the, so about 21 incidents that have happened.
You heard Kenneth Ashigbe. Meanwhile, Parliament has been commenting on journalists and attacks on them, but rather with a focus on Jamal Khashoggi. But just before we go, captain of the Ghana Black Stars, Asamoah Gyan, is demanding a paternity test from his estranged wife following an acrimonious relationship over the last few months. This is the second renowned Ghanaian footballer to have questioned the paternity of his children after Nii Odate Lamptey discovered he did not father his 3 children. It begs the question, do the lifestyles of footballers attract such scandals? There's more in this report.
Sources close to the footballer say he filed for divorce from his wife of 5 years, Gifty Gyan, in August this year. There are unconfirmed reports suggesting Baby Jet, as he is fondly called, demanded the divorce after he started a romantic affair with a lady who owns the property that houses his pub, BJ's Sports Bar in Osu. The footballer, who is also demanding a paternity test from his wife, has not publicly commented on the matter. He is, however, not the first to have questioned his children's paternity. Former Ghanaian international Nii Odate Lamptey found out he was not the biological father of 3 children he raised with ex-wife Gloria Appiah.
I spoke to my lawyer and then he showed me where they do the DNA. I went there. I paid 2,000 for the 4 of us. He went straight. He said, the kids are not yours. I was shaking.
This controversy has reignited discussions around footballers and adultery. You will recall the case of footballer Efriye Akwa, whose wife Amanda was alleged to have been involved in an affair with another Black Stars player. So what should footballers look out for in a future partner to avoid being entangled in such scandals? Odate Lamptey has some advice.
It's difficult, but the only thing I would say that make sure you choose the right one, which is very, very difficult to know until maybe something has happened. And then advice from mother or parents, that is the best advice I can give.
And let's check out what's trending on social media quickly before we go. Of course, there should be Kwesi Nyantakyi, right?
Yes, it is. And you know how social media folks are. They make a joke out of everything. And @_Kofi_Pill says, so Kwesi Nyantakyi can't even say, I have the balls too. And at @IamFred_Aziz says, while this is good riddance in fighting our biggest enemy in Africa, which is corruption, it has always denied our football administrator from becoming the first Ghanaian to be CAF president. And at IcePillow1 says, never despise small beginnings. Nyantechi started small. Now he has taken over the whole nation and Twitter as promised. Nyantechi, you are blessed beyond Anas.
Don't you just love Ghana? And that's it for the midday news here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apau. Thanks for your company.
That's the sound of my heart breaking the first time I said I